All right, I want to talk about this gun ruling. So the Supreme Court has been basically going on a little bit of a rampage when it comes to the destruction of this country. And yesterday, this came out. The Supreme Court's new gun ruling means virtually no gun regulation is safe. So I'm going to read a little bit of this, and I've got Joe Biden's response to this, which is, in my opinion, pretty funny. The Supreme Court's 6-3 decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin is a devastating decision for anyone who cares about reducing gun violence. It massively expands the scope of the Second Amendment, abandons more than a decade of case law governing which guns are permitted by the Constitution, and replaces the case law with a new legal framework that, as Justice Stephen Breyer writes in dissent, imposes a task on the lower courts that judges cannot easily accomplish. The immediate impact of Bruin is that handguns, which are responsible for the overwhelming majority of gun murders in the United States, are likely to proliferate on many American streets. That's because Bruin strikes the types of laws that limit who can legally carry handguns in public, holding that the Second and 14th Amendment protects an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. So basically, what this is saying, and of course we got to wait for the domino effect of other court cases, right, to confirm it. But what this is signaling is that you could theoretically concealed carry in any country or in any state in the country because it's your right. If New York can't restrict your right, why would Massachusetts be able to restrict your right to defend yourself outside the home? We're basically turning this country into like the Wild West, but like the imagined Western movie Wild West, right, that didn't actually exist, right? Where it's like everyone's having like duels in the street, and it's like, I'm gonna shoot you not if I shoot you first, right? Like, you ever think about the concept of the duel? Like, that's some weird shit. So like, okay, you're gonna do like the 20 paces thing, and you're just trusting that your opponent's not gonna do 19 paces and turn around and kill you? Like, you're taking that on faith. You've already said, oh, I'm going to go into a duel. One of us is going to get shot and killed. I'm going to trust my opponent to not break the rules. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Duels, some of the dumbest fucking shit in the world. Right, but again, that's where we're going back into. The case involves a 109-year-old New York state law which requires anyone who wishes to carry a handgun in public, whether openly or concealed, to demonstrate proper cause. Which means, again, they need a permit, a concealed carry permit, which the Supreme Court has basically just said, you don't need a concealed carry permit. So, again, this just applies to New York right now, theoretically. But, again, you could probably go ahead if you live in any other state, maybe get caught with it, hire a lawyer. The lawyer's going to cite this as precedent and might go to the Supreme Court, and then, they might double down on it. That's typically how this kind of stuff goes. But I want to read Joe Biden's response, because this is incredible. Statement by President Joe Biden on Supreme Court ruling on guns. I'm deeply disappointed by the Supreme Court's ruling in New York, blah, blah, blah. Since 1911, the state of New York has required individuals who would like to carry a concealed weapon in public to show that they need to do so for purposes of self-defense and to acquire a license. More than a century later, the United States Supreme Court has chosen to strike down New York's long-established authority to protect its citizens. This ruling contradicts both common sense and the Constitution and should deeply trouble us all. In the wake of the horrific attacks in Buffalo and Uvalde, as well as the daily acts of gun violence that do not make national headlines, we must do more as a society, not less, to protect our fellow Americans. I will remain committed to doing everything in my power to reduce gun violence and make our community safer. I've already taken more executive actions to reduce gun violence. Oh, great. More than any other president during the first year in office. Well, I don't know what to tell you. But I don't know, like, Joe Biden, you're not in your first year of office. Unless, like, he's just counting all the things that were done before January 20th. I don't know, it's a weird thing to say, considering we're a year and a half in. And I will continue to do all I can, blah, blah, blah. I urge states to continue to enact and enforce common sense laws to make their citizens, like, yeah, we're trusting the cops to enforce, like, the shadow law? Okay. All right. As the late Justice Scalia the Second Amendment is not absolute. For centuries, states have regulated who may purchase or possess weapons, the types of weapons they may use, and blah, blah, blah. I call on Americans across this country to make their voices heard on gun safety. Lives are on the line. So that last line is really insane to me. Because once again, let me remind you who gave us the Supreme Court. George W. Bush, who lost an election in 2000, but he became president anyway, installed some of these people. Donald Trump, who did not win the popular vote in 2016 and lost in 2020 epic style. But Donald Trump gave us 3 of these motherfuckers. So 2 presidents that both lost the popular vote nominated Supreme Court justices that were confirmed by a minority party that gained control with 40 million less votes in the Senate. So I just want to be very clear. Assuming the Democratic stance on gun control is to be trusted, right? Assuming that, if people vote for Democrats, they are aware of their gun stances. America already made their voices heard in 2000. They made their voices heard and voted for Al Gore. But, didn't care. Americans already made their voices heard in 2016 and voted for Hillary Clinton. But, the Electoral College and, blah, And remember when Democrats were running in 2020 and saying that they're going to do Electoral College reform? What happened to Electoral College reform? The fact that Joe Biden's going to come up here and say, please vote blue, and not advocate simultaneously for Electoral College reform, that's insane to me. That's insane. This is crazy. Democrats are crazy. They don't know what the fuck's going on here. They literally still think that one day the fever will break. This is like when a motherfucker gets a heart attack while driving 80 miles an hour and then their heart gives out, but there's 4 other people in the car. What do you do during that situation? Because that's us. We're in the car. Joe Biden passed the fuck out, and the only one who's thinking about grabbing the wheel is your shitfuck Republican dad, who voted for Ronald Reagan, 20 times, in his dreams, because he loves him that much. You know what I mean? We're fucked. They're just going to tell you to do this abstract thing, vote Democrat. And not at all try to even solve the problems. How would you solve this? Pack the court, expand the court? That's one solution. Reform the Electoral College or abolish it. There you go. Another one. If we wanted to get a little bit more radical, abolish the Senate. If we want to steer in our radicalism, uncap the House. Did you know that the House of Representatives being capped at 435 members is a joke? They made it up. It's not in the Constitution. We should have, I think, over 1,000 members of the U.S. House. But in the early 20th century, they passed legislation that caps the number of representatives at 435. There were supposed to be more districts added as the population increases. So we could uncap the House, expand the House, and that would probably help Democrats. Right? So again, but this country just doesn't give a shit. They don't care at all. No one in this country gives a fuck, except for the fascists that are trying to destroy the world. And again, the purpose of this is they want everyone to walk around with guns. They want everyone to shoot each other. Then they're going to say, oh, look, there's so much crime. Look at the crime. Look at the crime. And then they're going to say, vote for me to stop the crime. They're going to say, oh, law and order, law and order. And that's going to inch us closer to the fascist state. So, and then Joe Biden's response is, make your voices heard. Motherfucker, we've been making our voices heard for the last 20 fucking years. It's your turn. Anyway.